There is a very uncomfortable truth that most people have never been clearly told. Your body does not store fat during the day as much as you think. Most belly fat, especially visceral fat, is decided at night, while you are sleeping, while you believe you are recovering. And what determines this is not how little you ate or how hard you trained during the day, but the signals you send to your body from after dinner until the moment you lie down in bed. The human body is programmed to run on rhythm. Daytime is for using energy, processing information, reacting to the environment. Nighttime is for repair, regeneration, and if the signals are right, burning fat. The problem with modern life is not calories, but the fact that we have completely broken this rhythm without realizing it. We eat like it's daytime at night, expose ourselves to light like it's daytime at night, and keep our nervous system as tense as daytime right up until sleep. To biology, that is a very clear message. This is not a safe time to release energy. After dinner, the body begins to shift modes. The liver gradually reduces its ability to process nutrients in a burn-to-use way and increases its tendency to store. Insulin sensitivity also drops compared to the morning. This is not a flaw. It is biological design. But when you eat late, especially carbohydrates and sugar, you force the liver to work against its rhythm. Insulin stays elevated, and when insulin is high, the door to fat burning is closed. Not just for a few hours, but throughout the early part of the night, the very window when the body should be burning fat the most. It is not just about food. The nervous system state in the evening is even more decisive. When you finish eating and then stay stressed, glued to screens, dealing with messages, work, or news, the body never receives the signal that the day is over. The sympathetic nervous system stays active. Cortisol does not fall. Digestion slows. Low-grade inflammation increases. And in a body that is still in a state of vigilance, burning fat is a risky action. So it is postponed. There is one very small action with a large biological impact. Slow walking after dinner. Not to burn calories, but to send a very specific signal that the meal is finished, the body is moving safely, and there is no threat. This gentle movement helps muscles absorb glucose without requiring much insulin, allows blood sugar to come down smoothly, supports digestion, and most importantly, helps the nervous system begin shifting from working mode to ending the day. Then comes light. The body does not understand clocks. It understands light. Strong, blue light in the evening tells the brain it is still daytime. And when the brain thinks it is still daytime, it does not allow melatonin to rise. Melatonin is not just a sleep hormone. It is also a signal for the pancreas to reduce insulin and for the body to shift into repair and fat-burning mode. When evening light is wrong, you do not just sleep poorly. Your entire night fails to enter the biological state required for fat burning. Sleep temperature is another signal that is often underestimated. A sleeping environment that is too warm prevents the body from cooling down. But biologically, when the environment is cooler, the body activates brown fat and uses white fat as fuel to maintain warmth. Sleeping cool is not a trick. It is a very direct way of telling the body, it is night now, switch into repair and energy burning mode. What is important to understand is that all of these factors do not work in isolation. They stack. A late meal combined with blue light, combined with mental stress, combined with a warm bedroom, creates a night where biology is completely blocked. The next morning, you wake up heavier, more insulin resistant, and visceral fat has been given yet another night to stay. The good news is that your body does not need you to be extreme. It needs correct timing. When dinner ends earlier, when there is gentle movement after eating, when evening light softens, when the bedroom is dark and cool, the body receives a consistent sequence of signals that the day has ended safely. And in that environment, nighttime fat burning is no longer an effort. It is a natural function. If there is one thing you should take away from this video, it is this. You do not need to force your body to burn fat. You simply need to stop blocking it at night. Reducing belly fat does not start with eating less or adding another workout. It starts with how you close your day, with what you do in the few hours before sleep. When the rhythm is restored, the body does the rest. If you see yourself in this story, leave a comment about one of your evening habits, or simply mark that you stayed until the end. Those interactions do not just help the channel, they help many others realize that belly fat is not a willpower problem, but a matter of biological timing. What many people still need to hear clearly is this: burning fat overnight is not a magic trick that happens because you did one single tip correctly. It is the result of activating the right sequence of biological switches in the right order. At night, the body wants to shift into repair mode, but to do that, it must receive 3 signals: the signal that food intake has ended, the signal that danger has passed, and the signal that night has arrived. If even one of these is missing, the body will not dare enter deep fat burning mode, because biologically, nighttime fat burning only happens when the environment feels stable. The first signal is the timing of your last meal, because it determines whether insulin has a chance to fall. Insulin is like a door lock. When insulin remains high, the body is locked in storage mode. In that state, you can sleep 8 hours and still not truly burn fat, because the door that releases fat is still closed. This is why eating late does not just affect calories. It directly affects whether you can enter a fat-burning state during sleep. What is more subtle is that insulin sensitivity naturally drops in the evening, meaning the same meal, the same amount of carbohydrates, will create a higher and longer insulin spike when eaten late. In other words, you are not just eating a meal. You are extending an inappropriate hormonal state deep into the night. The second signal is your nervous system state after eating. Many people think eating early is enough, but they eat early and then sit still, scroll on their phone, read the news, handle work, or argue, and the body remains in vigilance mode. When the nervous system stays in a high sympathetic state, digestion is deprioritized, the heart keeps working hard, and cortisol remains elevated. A tense body prioritizes energy storage because it is preparing for action. This is why walking after dinner in the material is not presented as exercise, but as a mode-switching signal. Gentle walking helps muscles absorb glucose more smoothly, allows insulin to fall more cleanly, and at the same time sends a message to the brain that the environment is calm, movement is controlled, and there is no threat. When the safety signal is strong enough, the nervous system finally allows the body to enter recovery mode. The third signal is light, because light is what tells the brain whether it is day or night. This is where modern life damages biology the most. You can eat early and walk afterward, but if you sit under bright white lights or stare at a bright screen late into the night, the body still receives the message that it is not night yet. When it is not night, melatonin does not rise properly. And melatonin is not just a sleep hormone. It is the night signal for the entire system, influencing how the body regulates insulin, temperature, and the pace of cellular repair. When melatonin is suppressed, deep sleep is fragmented. And during the very window when growth hormones should peak for repair, the body cannot enter rhythm. You sleep, but you do not recover. And because you do not recover, the body has even more reason to store visceral fat as a backup reserve. Another scientific point that needs to be understood clearly is the role of deep sleep early in the night. Most of the strongest repair processes and recovery hormones are concentrated in the first half of sleep. If you delay bedtime or sleep in an environment with light and noise, deep sleep is reduced, and that triggers a very uncomfortable biological loop. Higher cortisol the next day, increased cravings, poorer insulin sensitivity, and in the evening, you are more likely to eat late or seek stimulation to compensate for fatigue. This is how many people get stuck, not because they lack willpower, but because they are living inside a broken circadian loop. Bedroom temperature is another switch that is often overlooked. The body needs to cool down to enter deep sleep. If the room is too warm, the body cannot lower its temperature effectively, melatonin struggles to reach its peak, and deep sleep becomes shallow. A cooler environment supports the cooling process and also allows the body to activate natural thermogenesis, which is linked to brown fat and nighttime energy expenditure. You do not need to understand all the terms to apply this. Just remember, night is when the body wants to cool down to repair, and warm like daytime is a wrong signal. Another thing that easily ruins this entire sequence is invisible calories in the evening. Not just main meals, but sweet drinks, milk, snacks, fruit, or just a little bit before bed. Biologically, every time you take in energy, you raise insulin again. And even a single spike is enough to delay the shift into fat-burning mode for hours. This is why the material emphasizes a clear end to eating and giving the body a sufficiently long overnight fasting window, not to punish yourself, but to allow hormones to change modes. If you want to compress all of this into an easy mental model, think of the evening as a hallway leading into sleep. Every step you take in that hallway either clears the path for repair or places another obstacle. Ending food early opens the first step. Gentle walking clears the second. Reducing light opens the third door. And a cool, dark bedroom locks the final gate. When the signals align, the body does not need you to try to burn fat. It automatically shifts into burn and repair mode, exactly as it was designed to do. And the most important thing is this: you do not need to do everything perfectly right away. You only need to identify the one switch you are getting most wrong and fix that first. Biology does not reward extremism. Biology rewards consistency. After enough consecutive nights, the system begins to change in ways you can feel. Not through immediate scale changes, but through waking up lighter, a less tight abdomen, and fewer unconscious cravings the next day. That is when you know the body is starting to restore its nighttime function, and belly fat is no longer being held as something necessary for survival. Before this video ends, I want you to keep one way of understanding. Not an evening tip, not a rigid routine, and certainly not a promise like, from today, I'll do everything perfectly. Because if there is one most important thread running through everything today, it is this: belly fat is not determined by how hard you work during the day, but by how you end your day. Many people believe fat loss is a matter of willpower. Eat less, train more, be more disciplined. But biology does not understand willpower. It only understands signals. And at night, when you go to sleep, your body does not ask how hard you tried. It asks one very simple question: is it safe to let go now? If the answer is no, it will hold on. Hold energy, hold fat, hold everything that might help you survive in what it perceives as an unstable environment. The evening, therefore, is not a leftover part of the day. It is the gateway to the entire process of repair and fat burning. What you do after dinner does not just affect sleep. It determines which hormones are activated, which are blocked, and whether the body enters a state of expenditure or stays in storage mode. You can do everything right from morning to afternoon. But if the evening sends the wrong signals, the body will not dare burn fat while you sleep. The key takeaway from this video is not that you must eat early at all costs, walk a precise number of minutes, or turn off every light. The key is signal consistency. When the meal clearly ends, insulin has a chance to fall. When there is gentle movement after eating, the nervous system begins to calm. When light decreases, the brain understands the day has ended. When the bedroom is cool and dark, the body enters its repair rhythm. These signals do not need to be perfect. They just need to align. One very important thing that many people only realize after applying this for some time is that the first change does not show up on the scale. It shows up in how you feel in the morning. You wake up lighter, your abdomen feels less tight, your mind is clearer, you have fewer unconscious cravings during the day. These are very early signs that the body has begun to trust that nighttime is a safe moment to release energy. When that biological trust is established, fat loss stops being a battle and becomes a natural consequence. If there is one thing I want you to stop doing after this video, it is fighting your own body. Belly fat is not the enemy. It is the product of a system that has been under tension for too long, And evening is the moment when you can tell your body, today is over. There is no need to brace anymore. When you learn how to close the day properly, the body will open what it has been holding on to. If you are still watching at this point, there is a good chance you recognized yourself in some of the evening habits mentioned. Maybe eating late, maybe staying glued to screens, maybe feeling exhausted but unable to sleep. If that's the case, leave a comment. You don't need to explain in detail. Just write one evening habit you think affects you the most, or simply mark that you stayed until the end. Those comments do not just help the channel. They help many others realize they are not the only ones stuck in this loop. And if you want to continue understanding how biology truly works, how rhythm, light, stress, and movement quietly shape long-term health, follow the channel. Not to add more pressure to live perfectly, but to gain enough understanding to choose more gently. When you understand correctly, you don't need to force anything. The body will adjust on its own in the most sustainable way. Belly fat does not disappear because you try harder. It disappears when the body no longer has a reason to hold on. And sometimes, the biggest change does not come from what you do more of, but from what you stop doing at night. So biology can operate the way it was originally designed to.